Welcome back. You are watching our special coverage of the G20 meetings here in Gandhinagar. Debt relief is a major issue for nations, with many saying there can be no formula on debt restructuring without China's support. Listen in to what the South African finance minister told CNBC-TV18 about his expectations on a debt restructuring formula and G20 priorities.
You know, the tradition, there are standard issues on the agenda. And each presidency gives it its own nuance. And I think India has quite performed well in terms of the logistic and so on, even on content. They've put together a team of experts which is looking into a number of topics. And in that sense, I'm quite hopeful in terms of the progress we're likely to achieve.
From the point of view of South Africa, would you lay out certain priorities which you feel are extremely important for a country like yours?
Look, first and foremost, not only for a country such as ours, even for our neighbors, a critical aspect is a debt relief issue in terms of the common framework. That to us is important. The second set of issues is the climate finance agenda. It's quite an important issue as well. So and lastly, how do we continue to prioritize the SDGs? In other words, the poverty aspect reduction aspect should not be left behind as part of the discussion.
Mr. Enoch, we are also getting a sense that China has not been very responsive when it comes to the debate over debt restructuring. They've been asking MDBs to take haircuts as well. Would you agree that China needs to play a more proactive role here?
Look, I would say most of the signatories to the common framework need to play a progressive role in the realization of the common framework. I understand China has been more exposed than anybody else into the developing and the distressed nations, and therefore there would be some worry from their side as to the implication of the debt relief.
Right. Finally, I would like to ask you, do you think the differences over the Ukraine war will make any kind of consensus difficult at this G20 meeting?
Depending on what would be focusing on.
Is the mood in the room very hot?
No, I mean, I've been around since the beginning of the war in April last year. If you ask me, the mood has completely changed. There's greater consensus and a greater appreciation of the differences.
Since the